So in the last video, we began to touch upon how to work with color in Coreal Painter. Now I'm going to go ahead and close out our gradients palette here because we're not going to need that. And I'm going to again focus on our color palette. Now, let's say you do need to match a particular color. Let's say that you're not going to be working here with this more artistic color picker, and instead you're going to be working with very specific colors that you've been given. So let's go ahead and display as RGB. And now we're going to go ahead and get back to this concept of additive color. RGB basically works like this. If we reduce all of our sliders down to 0, we get pure black. And this is an important thing because sometimes you need to get pure absolute black. And if you go and click and drag, you'll see that in the little widget here, we never actually get down to pure black. We get 222. So what we need to do is we just go down here and select 000 in order to get a pure absolute black. Likewise, if we add color, because remember this is additive color mixing, if we add red and we add green and we add blue, we end up with pure white, because remember, as we're focusing all those flashlights on the wall with the different colors, they're all adding up to brighter and brighter light. So now we have pure white. And again, this is one of those things where if you go and you choose using this little widget for the color selector, we only get up to 253. But to get pure white, we actually need to go to 255. So here's where the RGB sliders can actually be very useful, is because they can allow us to pick a very precise color through a range that's actually larger than what we can get via this widget. When we're working with RGB, you're going to get a formula, and the formula is going to consist of the 3 numbers. So you may get a formula that says something like and what that is a pure middle gray. And we know it's a pure middle gray because it's at the halfway point between the 256 shades of gray on each of the 3 color channels, the red, the green, and the blue color channels. Now this sounds very complex. However, the crux of what's going on here is that you will not have to decide these colors unless, of course, you're the person who's deciding these colors, in which case you already understand this. But generally speaking, if you're getting an assignment and they're going to say, we want this particular color for, I don't know, Superman's cape. Superman's cape is always this particular color red, and they're going to give you the RGB values for Superman's cape, and you're going to use it. What happens when you have a lot of very specific colors, and we have to deal with more than the main color and the additional color? Let's say we have lots and lots of very specific colors that we've chosen or that we need to work with. And we need to be able to switch between them, but at the same time, we don't want to have to manually go in here and type out those numbers each and every time. Well, that's when we get into Window, Color Panels, Color Sets. And I'm going to go ahead and pull off the color sets out of here so that we can focus on this. And then I'm just going to go ahead and close the rest of these. So what a color set basically allows us to do is pick a color here or make a color here using either the numerical or using the widget, and then add them to a color set. Now, by default, Painter comes with its own color set. That's a default color set that's based off of real-world paint. So if I come over here and I pull this little flyout menu and go to the color set library view list, you'll see that we end up with a bunch of color names that are traditional paint color names. And if you're a traditional painter, this may be somewhat comforting to you to know that there is an Indian yellow, or there is a cadmium yellow. There is a scarlet lake, or a cadmium red. There is, if you get down here to blues, you get a cerulean blue, a cobalt blue, an ultramarine blue, a idanthine blue, a Prussian blue, an indigo. You've got some chromium oxide, viridian, sap green. All the colors that you would normally find sitting on the shelf, and whether you're working in watercolor or oil paint or acrylic, they're here. So that's what this default color library is all about. Now I'm going to go ahead and switch back. So we're going to change the view back to small so that we can see all of these guys at once. And that's an important thing because we're going to be working with these. Now we can create our own color set. That's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say new color set. Now I could also choose from one of these icons here, and you can see here that we have a new color set as our first icon. So I'm going to go ahead and click the icon, and it's going to say new color set. new color set 1. We'll just leave it at that default name, and you'll see immediately what it does is it just creates a new color set. And we actually have a color in there to start with, because you have to have a color in the color set. Now we can delete this color from the color set. And if I delete that, we'll have an empty color set. So now I can go ahead and I can pick whatever colors I want and begin adding colors to this color set. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick a few. I'm going to click the plus sign here next to the little swatch, and that's going to add a color. And I'm just going to add a few more so you can see how this goes. And like so. So let's say I've chosen a few colors. I've been very precise about what I want. I always want to work with these colors. Let's say that I also want to pull a few colors out of this painter color set. Let's say I want to go ahead and pull the cerulean blue. And you notice how when I hover over it, it gives me the name. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab the cerulean blue and drag it down. Got to go ahead and drag it down like so until we get the little blue line. There we go. See the blue line? It's kind of hard to see, but there it is. And if I drop it, there it is right there. So let's go ahead and say I want to go ahead and take this quinacridone red. I'm going to pull that down, and I'm going to drag it till I see the little blue. See how the little blue thing pops up there? Sometimes it's a little slow to do that, but bottom line here is that I'm dragging it out of this color set and I'm dropping it into this color set. And in this way we can create a very custom color set that is precisely just the colors that we need to work with on a document by document basis. Now, of course, we can also, if you come down here to the bottom, you can see when we click on this new color set icon, we have the options of just a new color set, which is what I chose before, new color set from image, which means it will pull all the colors from an image and it will create a brand new color set with all the colors from that image. And this is useful for studying the colors that were used in, say, like an old master's painting or like a sunset photograph that you want to pull all those colors from. A new color set from layer. Well, we haven't gotten into layers and we'll come back to that later. And a new color set from mixer pad. Well, we haven't gotten into the mixer yet, so we'll come back to that later. But the bottom line here is that we can create color sets through many different ways, and these choices here are all more or less automated. You can see one here that's grayed out and it's kind of hard to read, but it says new color set from selection. And we haven't gotten into selections yet, but the bottom line here is that you can be very, very precise in how your automatic color sets are created. But if you want to create a manual color set, which is what we're focusing right now, you choose new color set. Now after that, you see that we can import a color set, we can export a color set, and that's how we would save this color set. We can restore the default color set. That's this color set right here. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to restore the default color set. I'm going to choose painter colors. And you can see I have a couple of choices here. I could choose 72 pencil colors, a gray range, or the spectrum. But I'm going to choose painter colors, which is what this is. And I'm going to hit OK. And now you can see that those colors that I pulled out of here down to here are restored back into painter colors, but I've also still got them down here. So that's just a nice little thing to be able to restore those default color sets. You can see here I can also search for color, and we'll get into that later, but basically remember when we hover over that we're getting names? Well, we can search by name. If we have a large color set and we want to find one really quickly by name, we can do a search, and that's a really nice thing. So that's some of the basic functionality of color sets. So now we're going to get into some of the advanced functionality of color sets.